Hello everybody, Vic here with the National Pokeball League. Joining me is my esteemed colleague, Pokemono2. Say hey, Mono.
Hi everyone, how are you? I'm in college, this is cool.
Hey, congratulations, mate. Alright, so we are here to bring you the Week 2 power rankings for the National Pokeball League. All of the Week 2 matches have been played. All teams have actually played at this point, which is a bit of an accomplishment given some minor staffing changes. Most notably the lack of Stab 4X. Thank you, Nixon Christ, for picking that one up. So I think that before we jump in, I should just explain that Pokemon Showdown did the stupid and decided to delete all of the replays that were on stock. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for us to pull up stock footage for this one, so I can't exactly provide that for you. It also means that not all of these matches were watched with the studiousness that they deserve. However, we will do our best. This video may be a little bit truncated. We'll be back at you at full force next week. Yes?
Yeah, so this video is probably going to be a little bit shorter. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but that will not stop us from doing our best, so Mono, why don't you jump in with your number 12?
Alright, so for number 12, I have Jeremy the Seattle Siegers. He was number 12 last week. He did do, I think, a little bit better this week, but it still wasn't all that impressive. Again, would love to go over the match, but I can't. Not a huge fan of the team, not a huge fan of how he played, and that's why he's number 12.
Fair enough. I actually have Jeremy in the same place. Seattle is number 12, and the reason for that is namely that he brought nothing for Chicago's Crawdont or Garchomp. The two of them just sort of pillaged poor Jeremy's team, and there's really nothing more to it than that. If you don't bring something to deal with a potent mixed sweeper/wall and one of the best priority users there is, as well as one of the best knockoff users given the right setup, you're gonna have a bad time, and that's really all there is to it. So just a little bit more preparation out of you, Jeremy, and we might be able to get you up into single digits.
Yeah, I would make fun of you more, but I don't have the video. Alright, so for my number 11, I have Ashley of the Detroit Pincers. This week, I believe she lost 5-0 to San Antonio. Nope, 4-0.
It was
okay,
a 4-0.
4-0 to San Antonio. This is a match I did actually watch, but I unfortunately was unable to take notes. But a couple things I remember. She was saying how she would make she should have made a different play when she should. It seems like she's kind of, her thought processes are just not there. I mean, they're there, but they're not what they should be, if that makes sense. Again, I'm not entirely sure exactly what she said, but a lot of times during the match, because Ashley and Dallas did do the match together, the videos on Dallas's channel, and a lot of times when she would make a move and it didn't work out for her, she would say, I should have done this move, but that move was still the wrong move, and that's a really vague way to put it, but again, that's the best I can do. So yeah, Ashley, she's going to move down a slot. I believe she was number 10 last week for mine. Now she is number 11.
She's in the same place for me. Detroit is, number 11. Just because this amazing team that I originally had power ranked fairly high is not living up to expectations, mostly because of a lack of preparation and a lack of forethought on Coach Ashley's part. Specifically, the issues that I'm seeing are just playing Charizard X just badly. It can be played incredibly well. Save it to mid-game when you've got rocks up and a little bit of support, and you can just mow things. Leading with it is risky. Leading with it when you don't have Dragon Dance is very risky. Leading with it when there is a Thunderous Incarnate that can parry you on turn 1 is borderline insanity. It just didn't work out. Same thing with Lucario. It came in to die, did absolutely nothing. She had no way of dealing with Colberberry Cresselia, which was, I would argue, Dallas's best Mon, just because she had nothing to break it with Zard gone. And it basically lost its weakness to knockoff, which is the only major weakness that Ash could apply against it. And at the end, I think that Ash could have at least preserved her differential a little bit by doing some cheeky stuff with Slowbro and I believe it was Chauncey, just to try and get some HP back and try and preserve the differential. But she just kind of let it go to a 4-0 when she could have pulled it to a 3 or a 2-0, I think, and maybe made it more difficult for Dallas to have a really positive differential. And this is a league where you really have to do that, but that just didn't happen. So Ash, Detroit, you are down at number 11.
Okay, so for my number 10, this is a match I did not see at all, unfortunately. I clicked the link, it was like, nope, go fuck yourself. So, my number 10 is the New England Patrats Bacchius. I'm going off this purely off of his team and off the score of this match. Bacchius of the New England Patrats lost the match 3-0. Granted, it was to Toronto, so I'm not really going to move him up. I'm not going to move him down too much. Obviously, he's number 10 when last week he was number 9, but we have 2 more people included in this one. So for the most part, he's going to stay about where he is. I didn't really see anything that great happen. I didn't see anything happen because I didn't watch the video, but yeah, I apologize for you viewers.
That's fine, it happens. I mean, there's no way that we can be accountable for technological failures, but we do apologize, guys. New England is my number 10 as well, just because there were a lot of really reckless and poor preparatory plays made. Couldn't think of another P word. A big issue that I saw is that Bacchius, however the hell you pronounce his name, did not use Defog before bringing in the Volcarona, which proceeded to die to the HP Rock Clef. I mean, I think that HP Rock was fairly obvious to me, but that may be because I know Toronto's playstyle quite well. But when Defog was had on the Scizor, and B, the Scizor was actually a check/counter to the Clefable, there was a pretty obvious play there. Bring in the Scizor, not the Volcarona. But Volcarona went to die, and Volk did give Jolt Team a little bit of trouble if Clef went down to the Scizor, so that was an interesting play. There were a couple of missed moves. Match ended up at a stall war because Jolt kind of got hacks out a little bit at the beginning, and he did have some trouble adapting. So it wasn't the best battle on his part either. But Bosch has got to try harder, mate. Number 10.
Okay, also something I'd like to point out, I actually did watch that match, but I remember very, very little of it. He doesn't have to go for fake out on low punny every single turn. Like, if
that
you
is very,
are...
very true. Yeah, you just
you're
go
scouting
for the HJK or the return sometimes, or the elemental coverage move.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just get the kill.
Yeah, you don't have to. That's it for that. My number 9 are the New York Matangs, coached by Razor. Another match I don't really remember watching, but so once again I'm going to go off team, and I'm going to go off this week's results. He got absolutely fucked. Jesus Christ. I actually forgot it was a 6-0, and then I looked back at the standings like, oh my god. But anyway, actually no, I did see Michael's side. I just don't remember very much of it. Michael played very well, but the New York Matangs just could not reciprocate in any fashion whatsoever. Michael, again, like I said, played very well, made a couple very good predictions early game, and kept the momentum throughout the match. New York was just unable to grab the momentum. And I have them at number 9 because they are 1-1, their record is a little bit better, and Michael did play very, very well, so I'm not going to drop them too far down, but they are number 9.
My number 9 is actually a winning team. It is Chicago, and the only reason that I have a team that won pretty defiantly as low as I do is because I just don't think that Seattle played well at all. Jeremy did not bring it, and so it wasn't like a huge amount of competition, and also Chicago only have one match. I don't have a lot of data to go off of, so for me to say, amazing victory and pop them up to number 2 and number 3 just seems a little bit unfair. So, pending appraisal down the road, Chicago is my number 9 just for reasons of lack of data and a pretty poor sample set to date.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for number 8, I have a pretty big drop. Formerly number 5, I have Richard of the Oakland Rosa Raiders. This is a match, again, I have very, very fuzzy memory of because I saw it once and the things got deleted and blah blah blah. But I vaguely remember him not playing well. And that is it.
And that is it, alright.
God.
It's fine. My number 8 is New York, the New York Matangs, for pretty much the same reasons that were stated. The match did not go well for him. Unfortunately, there was a lot of hacks. Not a lot, but there was enough at critical points, namely the critical hit by Snorlax with Heavy Slam on a cotton-guarded Mega Altaria, which normally would have done 40% maximum off of the cotton guard. Crit, Oko, bye-bye Altaria, which was a heavy, heavy win condition, because it was also the major check on New York's part to Holucha, which proceeded to kind of sweep just a little bit, just a lot of it actually. So Holucha prep by New York was a little bit poor, but that's because the only definite Lucha check went down on turn 8 to a really unpleasant critical hit. So yes, it was hacksy, but also I think there could have been more preparation on Green Bay's part for a huge threat, on New York's part for a huge threat from Green Bay. So New York, you are at number 8.
Okay, and next up I have my number 7, and this is a match I actually have a decent memory of. Togavor and the Portland Timbers for number 7. Now, last week I gave him a little bit of slack because, for the reasons I explained in that video. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out, please. So, Tog got hacked very, very badly. I believe first 2 turns, 2 crits and a burn, and then it just continued throughout the match. But after that, he had several opportunities to win, which he even pointed out in his video. He needed to go for Morning Sun on Arcanine when he didn't. He needed to make a couple other plays that he didn't, and even he made plays he shouldn't have had to make. Like, there were times the safer play was the right option. There were times where it seemed like he was just really agitated at the previous turns and the previous hacks, and he just kind of lost his focus, which he even said in his video. So I'm not going to drop him down too low, but he is 0-2, or no, he's 1-1 now. He did not play all super well. Granted, again, he was against one of the best teams, in my opinion, in the league, and he did get very hacked, but he needs to play a little bit better than that. Because even his first match that he won was still full of misplays.
That's it. My number 7 is the Oakland Rosa Raiders, and basically, Cheeseboy and the Phoenix Sunkern came in, set up Thundurus, and proceeded to win. Preparation for Thundurus was really low, and when Thundurus is a mon that has been in and out of ban lists since time immemorial, it really just seems to me that you need to prepare for it better, especially when a team like Cheeseboys really does complement it very well. You have potent physical hitters that come in, batter away anything that's special, and then Thundy comes in and just kind of says, die, goodbye. So if you don't have anything to take those T-bolts, you're just not gonna make it. So Oakland gotta prep better. I'm hoping that with the addition of Roserade over Shaman, there'll be a little bit more to deal with things like that with that monster special defense.
For my number 6, I have Cheeseboy of the new Phoenix Sunkern.
The new Phoenix Sunkern, alright.
Yeah, if you didn't hear, there was a new one, just formed in England. That's pretty cool. So, he's 2-0, and he's undefeated so far, but I have him this low because, like I've said, I don't think he played all that spectacularly in the first match. I don't think he played all that spectacularly in the second match because I did see portions of this match. But, you know, I'm not going to drop him super low because he obviously is winning. I think Oakland underprepared and did not play to their best this week, and I think that's the big reason as to why Cheeseboy was able to win. Despite the fact that a lot of people love his team, I'm not a super huge fan of it. Again, the 2 bulky EV-Light Moms I'm not a huge fan of. I can understand that they do very well, but yeah, that's about it. I mean, if he keeps winning, I'm definitely going to keep putting him higher because he has, of course, been winning. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and if you prove me wrong, then okay, you're going to go up in the rankings. But for now, number 6.
Alright, my number 6 is the Portland Timbers. Not a very dramatic drop for this team. They did lose, but it was kind of a bad match. Those 2 crits on Sylveon from Blastoise were absolutely critical. Like, Trev got incredibly lucky, but just after those crits, a really good player can bounce back from hacks to at least pull the match close, or, you know, ideally win. But
at least in that one.
Yeah, in that one it was definitely doable. It's not always doable. But I just think that Toj slipped a little bit. He went on tilt, kind of got angry, which I understand. I completely understand that. We all do it. But it doesn't fly, unfortunately, in a competitive setting. You have to be able to bounce back, and I hope that he can do that in future weeks, or will not need to in future weeks because he won't get screwed, as it were.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think he was mentally in it after that. Alright, so next up. Okay, we have newcomer Richard Nixon of the Sacred Fire. Well, I shouldn't say newcomer because he has been playing Pokemon for over 40 years, but Richard Nixon, Sacred Fire, he went up against a team that a few people deemed... Oh no, he went up against Seattle, never mind. Sorry, Jeremy. Obviously, the reason I'm putting him this high is because he was able to take a team that he did not draft himself and do very well with it, even if it was against an opponent that may not have been the strongest. Again, I apologize, Jeremy, but he took a team he wasn't super familiar with, and he put it to very good use, winning in a 4-0. Again, I don't have a huge memory of this, but almost anybody can say, no matter how good the draft is, if it isn't yours, you're going to struggle with it a little bit, and he seemed to do very well with it. And he didn't play badly, from what I've heard indirectly, because again, no video. So I think he played decently, and I'm looking forward to seeing him through the rest of the season, if Stab never comes back.
Rip Stab. So for my number 5, I have got the Green Bay Palkias. Again, a low-place winning team, and it's mostly because there was a lot of hacks in this match that made it difficult to say that he was for sure, dominant. But that said, it was a pretty defiant win. He did demolish New York, so I'm not too critical on that front. So there you go, Green Bay.
Okay, next up on my list, I have Michael of the Green Bay Pacquiaos at number 4. Again, this is the first time I'm seeing him, so I didn't really get to, I don't get to know how good of a player Michael is entirely to the extent of the others who I've seen 2 matches of, but when you win 6-0, that's a pretty good indication of how well you were doing, even against the worst of players, and even though hacks did happen and things like that, when you win a 6-0, that is a pretty outstanding message to send to the other league. Again, I have him at number 5 because... No, I have him at number 4. I'm dumb. I have Michael at number 4 because, again, he won very, very handily. He is 1-0. He is undefeated. I think he did play very well. He made a couple early game predictions. That's all the match I saw, so I don't know if you made other predictions after that. Good job if you did. But again, the 6-0 is huge, and I don't have him higher because of a little bit of lack of knowledge on his capabilities. We'll see how he does later on in the weeks. And because I think the next 3 just are a little bit more deserving for reasons I'll get into later.
I'm in about the same position. For number 4, I've got Atlanta Braviaries. I'd like to point out that they had the best Victini name ever. Just bar none, that is the best Victini name I've seen in a while. They named it TTM Vic because I am awesome. Beyond that, it was a hacksy game, as we've mentioned, so I don't have any strong feelings either way, but overall, hacks is hacks, it will do as it does, and that is really the end of it. So, good job, Atlanta, but do it with some, some hard-earned victory next time.
Alright, so for number 3, I also have Trevin Forrest. Well, you're number 4, but I have Trevin Forrest of the Atlanta Braviaries. Turn 1, tricking a Toxic Orb from Victini onto, I believe, Latias to get rid of its leftovers and to permanently poison it. Wow. That was... at first I was like, that's dumb, just use Toxic, you idiot, but then I was like, that makes sense, because now he's losing his recovery, he's lost his best Victini switch in, and that was just, wow, that was very impressive. After that, I think he overthought a couple things later on. He did, I think, maybe kind of get lucky because Togue was playing a little odd and was overthinking things and then underthinking things and things like that, but all the plays worked out for him, so maybe he did it on purpose and maybe he intended them to work out. I mean, I'm sure he intended them to work out, that's why you make the plays, but yeah, Trev, you did very well, and you're going to go up from number 4 to number 3, so that is good on you. Good job.
Yeah, for number 3 for me, I have got the Toronto Staraptors. As I've said, Jolt played pretty well. There were definitely some misplays early on, or some weird plays early on that made it a little bit difficult to really get into it. I would say that Jolt, had a little bit of trouble adapting, and also just didn't play the best game of his life. He said to me, and I quote, "I played like ass," but that is just that's straight from the horse's mouth. So yes, he played well. Yes, he's one of the undefeated teams, but I am gonna have to put him at number 3.
Okay, for number 2, I have the San Antonio Swamperts, Dallas Boy. This is a match I was able to watch because it is on Dallas' channel, like I said earlier. Again, he just played fantastically. Again, he's not going up against the strongest of opponents in my opinion, but he is capitalizing on all of his opponent's mistakes, which is a very, very key thing to do when you're battling, Sometimes when you're in a winning position, you don't have to make risky plays, you just have to make the smartest plays. And that's something that Dallas is really taking advantage of. He won 4-0 over Detroit, giving him, I believe, the highest differential in the league. Yeah, I think he has the highest differential in the league. Yes, so very good to you, Dallas. Again, I think next week he's going to go up against a bit of a tougher opponent, being Portland Timbers, although Portland has been struggling lately. This could be a time for Portland to come back, could be a time to show what the Swamperts are capable of, and I'm looking forward to it. And like I said earlier, I'm liking how he's playing. I'm liking that he's playing smart. He's not over-predicting. And yeah, for now he's going to stay number 2, and he's moving in a good direction.
My number 2 is the Swamperts also. I think that they played very, very well. Just incredible planning with Call the Crest, the Entei set. Bringing T-Wave Thunder T was essential with Zardex on the field. Basically, they're not number one because I don't think that they had a great opponent, and that's about the size of it. It was a good match, though. So, you know, power to you. Power to you, friend.
Okay, next up for number one, we have, for me, Jolt, the Token Minorities. I totally agree with you, Vic, that this week he did not play excellently. But if I remember correctly, he didn't go up against anyone I would consider a weak opponent. I'm just going to double check this real quick. Tirana? Yeah, Tirana? New England? Oh, never mind, they suck. Alright, so...
You can't say that!
It's the internet, I can do what I want.
Oh, God.
No, I'm kidding. Sorry, Pockies. Okay. I will entirely agree, Jolt did not play his best. There are definitely a couple misplays, the game was longer than it needed to be, but even then, from what I saw, it looked like his planning was really just on point. Didn't he have like an Ice Beam Dragonite to take on Gliscor? Yeah, and when your opponent has a Dragonite, you're probably going to make that Gliscor fully physically defensive in order to take on a potential Ice Punch and hit it back with an Ice Bang. But Jolt was really, really on his game as far as the planning goes. And even though, yes, he did play a little bit weaker, when you plan that well, and when you're that good of in a mental... sorry, something burnt there. When you're in that much good of a mental state that you can create these sets to beat your opponent's Pokemon, then a lot of times you just have to let the sets do what they do, and the plays you make are a little bit less important. Obviously, you know, I'd like to see him pick up his play the next week. I think he is definitely capable. But yeah, I still think he did excellently.
Yeah. For me, number one is going to be Cheese Boy and the Phoenix Sunkern. I just think that he made the most solid team that was available, and just generally brought it, as it were. It was a good match to watch. It was probably the best match to watch this week, I think. I just had a good time watching him. He went out, he had fun, and he kicked a decent amount of ass. So, power to you, Cheese Boy.
Alright, and I think that wraps it up. I apologize if you can hear my neighbors screaming during their party, but yeah, that's going to wrap this up. Any final thoughts, Vic?
No, I do believe that I have said all that I need to say here. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the National Pokeball League Power Rankings for Week 2. And matches for the next week will be coming at you guys, and we will have replays this time. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!